is Amanda, and I'm just your average 16-year-old living in a quiet provincial town. Our city is the kind where everyone knows each other, where life moves at a slower pace, and people still gather at the local diner to share stories over a cup of coffee. It's the kind of place where the rain falls heavily, drenching everything in its path. One rainy night, I found myself alone at home. My parents had gone out to buy groceries, promising to be back before the storm hit. Little did I know that this night would be etched into my memory as the most horrifying experience of my life. The rain was relentless, tapping on the windows like 1,000 tiny fingers, and the distant thunder created an eerie symphony. As the clock ticked away, the city plunged into darkness. The electricity had been extinguished, leaving me in the black void of my home. I could hear the rain outside, the drops hitting the roof in a deafening rhythm. In the dim light of my cell phone, I tried to distract myself. I scrolled through social media, trying to shake off the unsettling feeling that was creeping up on me. The silence of the house was interrupted only by the occasional creaks and groans, the kind that old houses make in the dead of night. The minutes turned into hours, and my parents were still not back. I decided to wait for them in the living room, where the only source of light was the feeble glow of a flickering candle. The rain outside had intensified, and the wind howled like a distant ghost. As I sat there, unease settled in my stomach. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. Every now and then, I caught glimpses of shadows moving in the periphery of my vision. I dismissed it as my imagination playing tricks on me, but the feeling persisted. Then came a sound, soft but distinct, like footsteps on wet pavement. I strained my ears, trying to convince myself it was just the rain. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. The steps were deliberate, rhythmic, and they were getting closer. Fear paralyzed me as I sat there, clutching my phone like a lifeline. The footsteps reached the front door, and I held my breath, hoping it was just my parents returning. But there was no familiar voice, only the sound of raindrops pounding against the windows. In the darkness, I could barely make out the outline of a figure standing at the doorway. My heart raced, and I felt a chill run down my spine. The figure seemed to sway, as if dancing to a tune only it could hear. The air became heavy, suffocating, and I could almost taste the fear that hung in the room. I mustered the courage to speak, my voice trembling. "Who's there?" No response. The figure remained silent, a dark silhouette against the stormy night. Panic set in as I fumbled to find my way to the kitchen, hoping to arm myself with something, anything. As I reached for a knife, the footsteps resumed, now echoing through the empty hallways. I could feel eyes on me, and a whisper of a voice in the wind. "Amanda." It called my name in a haunting tone that sent shivers down my spine. Terrified, I retreated to the living room, barricading myself behind the furniture. The footsteps approached, and the figure became more defined. It was a shadowy figure, dressed in tattered clothes, its face hidden in the darkness. Then, with a sudden jolt, the figure vanished. The footsteps ceased, leaving behind an unsettling silence. I waited, trembling in the darkness, not daring to move. The rain continued its relentless assault on the windows, and the wind whispered unsettling secrets. Hours passed, and my parents finally arrived, oblivious to the horror I had experienced. I hesitated to share my nightmarish encounter, fearing they wouldn't believe me, But as I looked back at the door, I saw wet footprints leading into the house, a chilling reminder of the night I came face to face with something that should never exist in the realm of the living. That night changed me. The rain, once comforting, now sends shivers down my spine. The footsteps and whispers linger in my nightmares, a haunting melody that refuses to fade. I can never forget the true horror that unfolded on that rainy night, a darkness that lurks in the quiet corners of our seemingly peaceful town. It was a typical rainy night in California, the kind where the raindrops tap rhythmically on the roof of your car, creating a soothing melody that can lull you into a sense of security. My name is Emily, and I work as a travel blogger. I often find myself driving through different cities, exploring their hidden gems, and capturing moments that make life interesting. That night, I was returning from a trip out of town, my headlights cutting through the darkness as the rain poured down relentlessly. The city's streets were quiet, the usual hustle and bustle replaced by the calming sound of raindrops hitting the pavement. I felt at peace, wrapped in the cozy embrace of my car, until I noticed a set of headlights in my rearview mirror. A car was following me, its presence unsettling in the desolate night. I tried to shake off the feeling, convincing myself that it was just another late-night traveler heading in the same direction. But as I made turns and changed lanes, the car persisted, staying a constant distance behind me. Unease settled in, like a fog creeping through my mind. I dismissed it as paranoia, but the feeling intensified when the car behind me started flashing its headlights. I gripped the steering wheel tighter, glancing nervously at my surroundings. The rain, now heavy, obscured my vision, adding an extra layer of anxiety to the situation. I decided to pull over, hoping the driver behind me would pass. The headlights of the car parked behind me also dimmed, and in the rearview mirror, I saw a shadowy figure stepping out into the rain. Dressed in a dark coat, he approached my car, his silhouette distorted by the curtain of water droplets. My heart raced as he knocked on my window. Hesitant, I cracked it open, raindrops splashing into the car. The man's face was hidden beneath the hood of his coat, his features obscured by shadows. He claimed his car had broken down, and he needed help. Every instinct in me screamed danger, but I couldn't leave someone stranded in the pouring rain. Reluctantly, I agreed to call for roadside assistance, trying to be a good Samaritan. As I reached for my phone, I noticed his eyes fixated on me, unnaturally intense. The call connected, but the voice on the other end was distorted and unintelligible. Panic set in, and I hung up, my eyes darting between the mysterious man and the desolate road. He insisted that I give him a ride to the nearest gas station, claiming it was just a short distance. The rain seemed to intensify as he spoke, as if the weather itself was warning me. Fear gnawed at me, but something in his eyes paralyzed me, trapping me in a web of uncertainty. Against my better judgment, I unlocked the car doors. The man got in, his wet clothes leaving a chilling dampness in the air. The car's interior felt suffocating as I accelerated, the rain battering the windows like 1,000 tiny fists. I stole glances at him, his gaze never leaving me. As we approached the gas station, an unsettling silence hung in the air. I pulled into the poorly lit parking lot, the flickering lights casting eerie shadows. The man, now seemingly impatient, instructed me to stop near a deserted corner of the lot. My heart pounded, a primal instinct urging me to escape. Before I could react, he turned to me, his hood falling back to reveal a face twisted with malice. The dim light reflected off his knife, sending shivers down my spine. Panic set in as he lunged towards me, the rain outside transforming into a cacophony of horror. In a moment of desperate clarity, I slammed my foot on the gas pedal, the tires screeching as I sped away from the nightmare. The rain, now a torrential downpour, masked the sound of my escape. I glanced in the rearview mirror, the man disappearing into the darkness. Terrified and soaked to the bone, I drove for what felt like an eternity, the rain gradually easing. The city lights ahead offered a glimmer of safety, and I realized I had narrowly escaped a perilous encounter. The rain-soaked night had become a canvas for a horror I never anticipated, a story etched into my memory, a chilling reminder that danger can lurk in the most unsuspecting moments. I work the night shift at a small mini-mart on the outskirts of Portland. The city has its charm, with its eccentric mix of people and the constant drizzle that seems to be an integral part of life here. Most nights, my job is uneventful, and I pass the time by rearranging shelves and chatting with the occasional insomniac customer. One rainy night, however, everything changed. It was a typical evening, and the soft pitter-patter of rain against the store windows created a soothing rhythm. I was alone as usual, stacking shelves with snacks and scanning the empty aisles. The only source of light was the dull hum of fluorescent lights overhead, casting a sterile glow on the linoleum floor. The distant sound of rain intensified, and a low rumble of thunder echoed through the quiet store. I felt a chill run down my spine, but I shook it off, attributing it to the eerie ambience the storm created. The occasional flicker of the lights added to the suspense, making the store feel more like a haunted house than a minimart. As the night wore on, I noticed a few odd occurrences. The security camera feed displayed flickering shadows in the corners of the screen, but when I glanced at the corresponding spots in the store, there was nothing there. I dismissed it as a glitch, my imagination playing tricks on me in the dimly lit store. The rain outside intensified, turning the night into a symphony of water droplets and distant thunder. I began to hear footsteps, soft and irregular, echoing through the empty aisles. I called out, thinking it might be a late-night customer, but there was no response. The footsteps continued, growing louder and more distinct. My heart raced as I cautiously approached the source of the sound, rounding the corner to the canned goods aisle. The flickering lights cast eerie shadows, distorting the shapes of the towering shelves. The footsteps grew louder and closer, but there was no one in sight. I hesitated, my breath catching in my throat. Suddenly, the lights flickered off, plunging the store into darkness. Panic set in as I fumbled for my phone, using its feeble glow to navigate the pitch-black aisles. The rain outside beat against the windows like 1,000 desperate hands, creating a cacophony that drowned out any other sound. As I stumbled through the darkness, I caught glimpses of shadowy figures out of the corner of my eye. Whispers surrounded me, unintelligible and chilling. I quickened my pace, desperation mounting with each step. The shadows seemed to dance along with the rhythm of the rain, their movements unnatural and unsettling. I finally reached the front of the store, and just as I thought I could make my escape, I saw her. a silhouette in the rain-soaked darkness. A woman, drenched and disheveled, stood just beyond the glass doors, staring at me with hollow eyes. The dim light from the street lamp revealed a face twisted in agony, a visage that sent shivers down my spine. I hesitated, paralyzed by fear, as the woman outside slowly raised a trembling hand, pointing directly at me. The rain cascaded down her face, mixing with tears that streamed from her haunted eyes. The flickering lights inside the store pulsed with otherworldly energy, casting a surreal glow on the bizarre tableau. In that moment, the whispers around me coalesced into a haunting chant, as if the very air itself resonated with an ancient, malevolent force. The shadows converged, swirling and enveloping the woman outside, merging her form with the darkness. The store seemed to pulsate with otherworldly energy, and I felt a cold presence enveloping me. With a sudden jolt, the lights flickered back on, and the store was empty once more. The rain outside continued its relentless assault, but the oppressive atmosphere that had gripped the Minimart had dissipated. I stood there, trembling and drenched in sweat, grappling with the surreal nightmare I had just experienced. To this day, I can't shake the memory of that rainy night, the footsteps, the shadows, and the haunting gaze of the woman outside. Was it a manifestation of the storm's energy, a spectral entity drawn to the veil between our world and the unknown? Or was it simply a product of my exhausted mind, playing tricks on me in the dead of night? One thing is certain. That night, the rain brought with it more than just water. It carried a darkness that seeped into the very fabric of reality, leaving me forever changed. And as the rain continues to fall on Portland, I can't help but wonder what other secrets it conceals within its relentless, rhythmic embrace.